Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Buckeye Weekly podcast. I am Tony Gerdeman here, as always, with Tom Orr. Tom, how's it going?
Well, right as you texted me that you were ready to record, I had just gone out to the mailbox and gotten a delivery of a power cord for my old Nintendo 8-bit Nintendo system. I had found that a couple weeks ago, and but didn't have the power cord, which was just this absolute gut punch of like, I finally have time to play 17 straight seasons of Tecmo Super Bowl, and I don't have the power cord. So I got the power cord today. I plugged it in. I made you wait like 2 minutes before I called you. I plugged it in, and flashing red light. So I'm going to have to troubleshoot that, and I'm either going to have an incredible next couple days or a maddeningly frustrating next couple days. Can't wait to find out which one it is.
Now, Tom, did you blow into the cartridge, and did you also blow into the Nintendo itself? Because that's the fix.
I did not, and I know that is the classic fix. I am hoping there's a better solution than that, because we're 30 years out from these things being manufactured. I have blown a lot of air into this thing over the last 3 decades, and I don't know if the magic may be wearing off from that trick, but yeah, that's my hope is that, or I think rubbing alcohol to clean off the cartridge. That was another classic solution. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's and that's the biggest problem facing anyone this weekend. So I would appreciate if you keep me in your thoughts.
There is I don't want to burst your bubble. There is no way that Nintendo is going to work. Now, how old is that Nintendo in terms of how long have you had it?
I believe this is the original one that I had when I was a kid. I think
there is no way. They have like a 5-year lifespan.
I mean,
if that.
People still have working Nintendos. I mean, and it's not like they've made brand new ones in the last 5 years. I've seen the little mini ones, but they haven't made new versions of the 30-year-old units. So I see this is our version of the glass half full versus the glass half empty.
No. It's the ones that are working are the other ones that have been tested. Many more have been thrown away and untested. All right. So but you know what? It at least gives you a project. I'm sure there's tutorials on YouTube on how to get these things working. So, good luck to you. I can't say I'm rooting for you, because I would be incredibly jealous if you're just able to then go play Tecmo, just at your whim and at your leisure, while the rest of us have to play stupid things like Madden.
See, the reason I'm falling back to the Nintendo, and the reason Nintendo's been in the box, is the most recent video game system I had was a PlayStation 2. Which is probably 20 years old at this point, give or take. And probably like 4 to 6 months ago, it wouldn't, I turned it on for the first time in several years, and it wouldn't stay on. It kept locking up after a few minutes. And I just said, well, screw it. I'm just going to throw this out. I'm not going to need this anymore. And so now I'm sitting with a copy of whatever the NCAA game with Tim Tebow on the front was, so 2000 NCAA 10, NCAA 09, something like that, and no way to play it. So I have brought this on myself. Is I think the main takeaway from all of this.
You have brought all of this on us.
Yeah. But I'll take responsibility for some of it. I'm not sure all of this is directly on me.
Well, that's a podcast for another day. We'll put that one behind a paywall, Tom, where I berate you for what you've done to society. So, Tom, this week we got to talk to Ryan Day on a conference call, and at this point, I'm sure everybody has been part of their own conference calls or Zoom calls. You would think, Tom, that more people would realize and remember at this point to mute their phones. But they don't. And whoever did not have their phone muted, I'm not going to say the name. I think we have a pretty good idea who it was, you and I. But there was, I don't know if it was, I don't know if he's in the bathroom getting some sort of a shoulder massage on a knot in his shoulder. But there was just a lot of, like, every movement was arduous and pained and came with a full, like, reaction, aftermath of, whether it hurt or it was just, a good stretch. And mute the phones, guys. And finally, Jerry Emig, the SID who was manning the teleconference, had to be like, hey, guys, just a reminder, let's mute our phones so we can all hear Coach say what he has to say.
Yeah, I just feel like we should clarify that just by process of elimination, some of these noises were happening while Ryan Day was talking, so it was clearly not Ryan Day making the noises.
Yes.
Yes, this was one of our media brethren who, there was a text chain going on at one point with some speculation on what the cause of the noises might have been, but yeah, I think it got resolved towards the end of the call, which is good. That's better than. And in terms of noises that could have been made, that's not the worst one you could have had.
No, and I'm sure we've all seen some videos of late from all these different meetings, and we got some Frank Drebin type things going on from Naked Gun where people are going into the bathroom with the mic still on them, and hilarity ensues. Fortunately, I don't think that's what was going on, but I can't swear to it. Like, I think that call could have been coming from the bathroom rather than a call starting in the living room and then going to the bathroom. That call may have originated in the bathroom.
Yeah, it's. I think maybe the thing to be most grateful for was that the transcription software that we used did not seem to pick up any of the grunting noises. So that was good. That's something to be grateful for.
Definitely, because as you're going through the transcript, you don't want to be reminded of that. So, Day talked for about 40 minutes, which was about 40 minutes fewer than Chris Holtmann talked the day before, that's a lot of basketball talk. But I digress. One of the topics that Day was asked about was this is the first time that he could talk about Trey Sermon, because the Ohio State just announced that he had been named part of the team or whatever, and was finally able to, I guess, enroll, or financials were finally set in terms of scholarship and things of that nature. So then, just ask him what he brings to the table. I thought the interesting thing was, hey, let's not forget Trey Sermon had an injury the same day, the knee injury the same day Marcus Crowley did. And it wasn't as severe as Marcus Crowley's, but it's not like you can bring Trey Sermon in to get his knee checked out. So how do you, what kind of background or discussions did you have regarding his knee? And obviously they talked to Trey Sermon, but they've also been in communication with Oklahoma through this whole process. So they got, the medicals from Oklahoma. They got feedback from Oklahoma on the type of teammate he is, and Ryan Day couldn't say enough for what Oklahoma had to say about Trey Sermon, and for what Oklahoma had to tell Ohio State about his knee, basically about everything. It was kind of refreshing to have that communication time, because I don't know if you'd have the same communication between Ohio State and Michigan. No,
I don't think. I mean, I don't know. Maybe Ryan Day called to get character checks on Greg Madison and Al Washington before he hired them away. I mean, possibly. I don't know. I think he did say that he called.
Yeah, he
did. He did say he called, but I think it was just kind of permission, or letting Harbaugh know that he was going to be talking to those guys. I don't think it was necessarily character references. I'm not sure Jim Harbaugh would have given them good character references at that particular moment. It was interesting because it's a little bit like with checking out the injury. It's a little bit like when you have a trade in professional sports, like they send the medical records over, and sometimes you'll see a trade scratched because the medicals don't work out, or they don't come back clean or whatever. I get the sense that they probably are feeling reasonably confident that he's going to be able to be full go for fall camp, whenever fall camp is, and he's insurance for Marcus Crowley, who I think you and I are both expecting probably will be ready for fall camp or close to the start of fall camp. And if they were injured on the same day and Sermon's injury was less serious, then it sure seems like he should be ready sooner than Crowley. So, and if he works out, we saw him a couple years ago as a freshman at Ohio Stadium in 2017. Like there's a lot to like in his game.
There is. I'm just still confused why he became no part of the Oklahoma offense, like in the weeks leading up to his injury, like not touching the ball at all against Texas after being the starter to start the season. But I assume it was because other players were playing better. It's an odd situation to go from starter to not touching the ball, and you can't put all of that on Lincoln Riley. You have to put some of that on Trey Sermon, I think. And but everything they got back everything was good. Tony Alford likes him. Day also said the running backs have already taken him in. Now they can only do so via Zoom. So there's, but I think, players today, that's how they communicate anyway, not through Zoom, but like FaceTime. So this is just, I don't think this is that big of a deal. Like even me now, like I've got my nieces will do all of these FaceTimes with like 4 people, and they'll be like, "Why aren't you picking up the phone, Uncle Tony?" And it's like, well, I don't like the phone, but it's a party on the phone with these kids today.
These kids with their newfangled telephones. Why can't they just use the telegraph like that, like a normal civilized person? Yeah, my son's class has been doing those, and it's just hilarious to watch a bunch of first graders sitting there and just all talking over each other, and it's like you get that dynamic, and you just get to watch it all play out, just the absolute chaos. And if the last month of trying to be a teacher for your kids at home has not convinced you that public school teachers are just angels, like watching like 7 to 10 kids just all talking over each other on a Zoom, that should do it.
It sounds terrible. And then you've got some kids have spotty signals and they're frozen, and yes, they are blessings, teachers, for sure, to put up with all of us. We've all, ain't none of us innocent in any of this when we talk about our dealings with teachers as kids as well.
Yes. No question where they get this from.
That is true. Day also was asked about, how much does not having spring impact Justin Fields, and he said, it's not a huge thing. Playing in games is the big thing, and he got that last year as the starting quarterback. And I think you and I would both agree that it's the impact of it's not felt by Justin Fields as much as it's felt by everyone else. And Gunnar Hoke is still learning the offense, still getting comfortable, and of course, we know the freshman quarterbacks are where spring would have been best. I still think, any chance we get to watch Justin Fields, we should take advantage of it, because it's not going to last much longer. And when we look back on it, I think, for my money, after one season, he's the best quarterback I've ever seen at Ohio State. And not that missing him in spring or anything like that is a big deal, but I want to watch him as much as I can, because we're going to get 2 years max out of him to see him in college, which is unfortunate. But overall, Day didn't have any big concerns about him missing spring, nor should he. I think he was pretty good last year, as I said. But for the quarterbacks, Tom, it's the freshmen who were impacted, not Justin Fields, according to Ryan Day.
Right. It's that the longer you've been in the program and the more reps you've had, the less of an issue it is that you're missing spring. And that's the philosophy behind the whole 2000 rep club, where they let the veteran guys kind of take it a little bit easy during spring and not, maybe not have to do as many reps during drills and all that, because there's just a decline in the value of each additional rep at a certain point. And, as a team that has a returning starting quarterback with they're going to keep the same system they had last year, presumably with, you've got the same head coach, you've got the same offensive coordinator. So, you're replacing your passing game coordinator, but Corey Dennis is, as the quarterback's coach, has been working with Dwayne Haskins. So they're really not changing a lot, even though Mike Yurcich left. So there's a lot less that you'd worry about. If this was last year and this was Fields' first year in the offense, this would be a monumental problem. With him having a year in the system and having worked with most of these receivers already, it's probably not nearly as much of a concern as it could be other places. I mean, you've got Michigan breaking in a new starting quarterback. This is a much bigger issue for them. And, JT Daniels, the USC quarterback I saw popped into the transfer portal yesterday, I think. And, there was immediately like, oh, maybe he'll go to Michigan. And if you're going to take JT Daniels and just throw him on that Michigan team and throw him in this year with, limited, no spring practice, basically no time to be with the players before, fall camp opens, very likely. Like, okay, good luck. Have fun storming the castle.
But Tom, as we know, the longer a quarterback is with Jim Harbaugh, the worse he does. So a transfer quarterback with no spring and just one fall camp under Jim Harbaugh, that's pretty much a lock for a September Heisman. Certainly an October Heisman invite, and probably a pretty good shot at November Heisman talk. Mm-hmm. So I think you're overlooking this. The less involved he can be, like if he can just be a surprise, show up like the Saturday, maybe the Friday night. Let's say the Friday night before the first game, JT Daniels just shows up. And he's like, "Hello, Coach Harbaugh. My name is JT Daniels. I'm a quarterback." And Jim Harbaugh would be like, "Stop right there. You have said enough. You said you're a quarterback." And JT Daniels would be like, "That's right. And you know what? I'm from California." And Jim Harbaugh's like, "Whoa, I've been to California." And then they start but before things can get too cliquish, and JT Daniels will have to be like, whoa. Please don't influence me too much before I go out and play my game and do well for you. There'll be time to wreck my career after this first game. Let's go get this one out of the way. Let's get a W on the board, and let's move from here.
Yeah, I mean, I can't find any flaw with any bit of your logic there. I mean, every piece of Jim Harbaugh track record suggests that is exactly how it's going to go. And if JT Daniels is, a good decision maker, I think that's absolutely how that's going to play out. And, Michigan has not had a lot of quarterbacks from California, but I know they had Tom Brady. And where does every conversation about Michigan quarterback play start and end? Tom Brady. So, I mean, therefore, I think it can't fail.
I imagine, like, right before kickoff, all the way up until kickoff, Jim Harbaugh's on the sideline with a walkie-talkie connected to somebody, like, out at the front gate of Michigan Stadium being like, "Has any quarterback shown up? Anybody looking to transfer? Anybody out there? Is there a doctor on the plane?" type of thing. Because if you can just put them out there with no contact, you know how they have no contact delivery now? Mm-hmm. If Michigan could get a no contact quarterback transfer delivered to them, and you just plug him right into the game, and there's no there's no chance of Harbaugh contaminating him, I guess would be the right way to continue this analogy. Unfortunately for Michigan, that probably won't happen.
If he does come in contact with Harbaugh, do they have to like wipe him down with Lysol wipes? Like when you get groceries home now, you have to. Oh no! You gotta really wipe it down, get the Harbaugh off of there, because that's once it gets in there, there's a little bit of
20 seconds.
You're asymptomatic for a little bit, but after a little while, boom, full blown Shea Patterson.
Is that soap anti-Harbaugh, or is that just regular soap? Because regular soap, it's not going to do it. You got to get the anti-Harbaugh in there, and you got to really get in the creases, under the nails. Just scrub until the skin is red, basically, and then you'll be okay.
There you go.
It's just that easy. Ryan Day also talked about, he was asked about the NFL draft coming up because that is coming up a week from this week. Which Tom would be next week if you want to say it in a different way. So, looking at Chase Young and Jeff Okudah will be top 6 picks. I see some conjecture that the Lions may drop back and still get Jeff Okudah at like 5 or 6 as other teams come up. And for some reason, Tom, there has been more and more talk about Justin Herbert being like the number 5 pick for the Dolphins. Forever they've been locked onto the Alabama quarterback who used to play for Alabama.
Tua Tagovailoa?
Tua.
Unless you mean Kenny Stabler.
His first name is too long. No, Tua. And now I could not pull the trigger on Justin Herbert in the first round unless I'm trading back in late and I'm a good team looking to sit him for a year or two. I don't believe Justin Herbert is that guy, and not just because he's an Oregon quarterback, although that's as good a reason as any. That guy, I don't trust him.
Yeah, I mean, that feels like one of those things where the NFL teams have all this time to think about it and, watch him throwing in shorts and a t-shirt at the combine or whatever, and talk themselves into something that everyone who watched college football would go, "What? No, don't do that." I do wonder if, it reminds me of the Bears taking Mitch Trubisky over Deshaun Watson a few years ago. It was like,
what?
But did you watch them play? Because Mitch Trubisky couldn't beat out who was the quarterback before him at North Carolina.
I think we asked this a week or two ago. Marquise Williams.
Yes. Yeah. Like what? No, you
Wilson,
can't.
Williams.
Yeah. Williams. Yep. Yeah. Like what? No, that's not right. Don't do that. And kind of the wild card here is that presumably they have, I don't know how much people have been able to look into Tua's hip and how his recovery is going and all of that. I'm sure there would have been a lot more examination of that if they were still able to talk to players. So maybe it's the uncertainty around that's leading to it. But yeah, if Tua doesn't succeed as a pro quarterback, it's because of the hip and it not getting better sufficiently. If Justin Herbert doesn't succeed, it's because he's just not that great of a quarterback on the whole. Like it seems like every year someone talks themselves in, well, this guy, he's got such arm strength and he's just fantastic. It's like, well, but is he that great? Like he's fine, but I don't see taking him over Tua unless, I have not looked at Tua's medicals, but if Tua's healthy enough, I don't get that.
I believe Tua is going to be an injury-prone quarterback in the NFL because that's what he was in college. But that doesn't mean he can't have 2 or 4 seasons in between 6 or 8 injury seasons where he's not really, really good. I just don't expect I would expect more good seasons from Tua than I would Justin Herbert, even with me saying Tua is only going to be healthy half of his career. I still think he'd be better. I don't know that if he's a top 5 guy, but the Dolphins have 3 first-round picks, so you know what? Go ahead and throw one at Tua with the number 5 and see how it goes. Day was asked about any of the guys behind those first round you think are underrated, and he said it's hard to imagine there being a better cornerback out there than Damon Arnett. And based on what we saw, I agree with him. Everything I've seen right now is probably Arnett somewhere in the second. I've seen some mocks with him in the first. Just the transformation of what Jeff Hafley did for him and what Jeff Hafley did for Jeff Okudah. Okudah will say the same thing, and Day will as well. I mean, Jeff Okudah was good in 2018. I think there was a portion of it that it was also based on his recruiting. Everybody knew he was good. And he did not get the vitriol for mistakes that Damon Arnett did, which kind of still bugs me to this day. But Arnett played his way out of a lot of those memories. So that makes me, happy that he did that. And so that's a guy that I will continue to root for based on how far he's come as a Buckeye. He grew up, he got better, and he wasn't, he's had three different cornerbacks coaches, starting with Kerry Combs way back in the day. And he's had to learn on the fly from all of these guys. But then once he finally got serious about football last year, we saw what happened. And so, Chris Carter kind of told him straight as he thought he was going to leave for the NFL after the 2018 season. Chris Carter told him to get back to Columbus and, because at that point Arnett was in Dallas getting ready to start training, told everybody goodbye, and then came back and now, would have been a 4th, 5th, 6th round pick last year, has now turned himself into a guy who's going to make so much more money than he would have with that contract as a, say, 5th round pick. So that's a guy I think we're all happy for, and certainly a guy that Ryan Day is excited for, and I'm with him. He played better than most, if not all, cornerbacks that I saw last year.
Yeah, no, that is a textbook example of what it looks like when you come back for one more year and it really pays off. That if he's a 5th round pick last year and he hasn't had the Jeff Hafley coaching yet, he hasn't kind of put it all together yet. If you're a 5th round pick, it's much easier to just not have a great training camp and you get cut and you don't stick on the team. Maybe you're on the practice squad, whatever, but and then next year there's more guys coming in and it's, it's not easy to kind of dig yourself out of that hole. If you come in and you're the 2nd round pick, first of all, you're getting a bigger contract, but second of all, you're probably going to get more chances. They are, you almost never see 2nd round picks get cut. So you're going to start your career on the team and making more money, getting more opportunities. And he's coming out ahead because he's coming out with a far better skill set than he was showing a year ago. That's like you don't have to be a 1st round pick come back for one more year to have been a good decision. And he's one of the best examples I can think of someone that it really did pay off for.
Yeah. And if he's drafted somewhere, say in the bottom half of the 2nd round, you're looking at a $6 million contract. If you're drafted, say, in the 5th round or 6th round, you're looking at half of that. So, yeah, if he would have come out earlier, he would have gotten to his next contract 1 year earlier. But he wouldn't be the same player that he is today. And I think he realizes that. And it's impossible not to realize that after seeing him on the field. I'm up there. I'm thinking J.K. Dobbins is going to make team very happy as well. I'm interested to see. I see some projections with him going to Kansas City, and I think that would be amazing to watch with that offense. We'll see where he goes, but KJ Hill, Devon Hamilton, Jonah Jackson, I think all of those guys are going to be fine. Am I right, Tom, about Ohio State draft picks all the time? No. Okay, no, I'm not. But I think Jonah Jackson, I don't see that guy I see that guy having a very successful career because what more do you want in a guard than what he is? Maybe a little bit more athletic, but I'm sorry, I don't see a lot of guards in the dunk contest.
Right. Well,
offensive guards.
Yeah. No, Let me tell you about a little man I'd like to call Michael Jordan. Yeah, huh? No, I'm with you there. He's someone who he might not be. I wouldn't necessarily bet on Jonah Jackson making the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but I'd be willing to put a pretty decent amount of money on Jonah Jackson having a pretty good 5 to 10 year NFL career and being a starter and being a very solid pro for quite a while. He does, he's a guy who does all the stuff right. He's got good technique. He's a really likable guy, and he's a big, strong dude too. So he's strong and he's got good technique, which when you are going to be the guy who's leading the team in knockdowns, as he did last year, like, yeah, that's and on a line that had a lot of other good players on it. Wyatt Davis and Josh Myers, those guys are not nothing to those guys are no slouches. And he was like far and away the biggest guy, the leader in knockdowns on that team last year. So, yeah, I think if you put, I think I saw a draft projection that had KJ Hill going to the New England Patriots, which was just like, oh yeah, no, yeah, he would completely just eat everyone's lunch if he was with the Patriots. But yeah, Jonah Jackson as well. Like, and I could see Devon Hamilton. Devon Hamilton had a fantastic year last year, and I think that got lost with everyone just, when you were watching the defensive line last year, you were watching Chase Young. But when you watched Devon Hamilton, it was like, oh, this guy is like light years ahead of where he was a couple of years ago. He had an incredible year and put up some pretty solid stats for a tackle. I mean, that was he had some pretty good numbers. So yeah, I was those were the three names that Ryan Day said as guys who, sort of stood out as people who were going to be below the first round probably, but have pretty good NFL careers. And yeah, I would say those are three pretty good picks.
Yeah. And then next year they will have maybe two more top 5 picks with Justin Fields and perhaps Sean Wade, which, that wouldn't be bad for it to happen, for the third time in, say, 4 or 5 years, and it's almost becoming a habit based on this Ohio State recruiting classes, which, and the development, especially, of these players that continues to just out of control, careening down the highways, unstoppable at this point, at least on the Big Ten highways. Tom, you got anything else before we wrap up this show?
No, I think we're good for now. And if you are, we've had a couple of people ask how they can help us out right now. If there's if there's anything they can do to help. We are going to be doing a Patreon only show. I think shortly. So if you're interested in getting some bonus content, you can subscribe at patreon.com/Buckeye Weekly. And if you don't want to do that, just download a couple shows and play them on your phone. And if you're not listening, that's okay. That's fine. You can just download a couple of our shows, rate us and review us. Any of that stuff helps. And just kind of easy, quick things you can do to help out if you were looking to do that. But we greatly appreciate you listening and sticking with us through this unusual time.
Yeah, if you want, you can basically just set it up for autoplay and just turn your volume down and just leave your phone going all day. I think it's the very least a lot of people could do.
You could do it tonight. You could leave it, turn your phone on, turn your volume down, and just download the last 10 episodes and play them all. That's fine. We won't have a quiz afterward.
Yeah, or turn your volume up. And just leave it play all night. Growing up in the country, we used to have the kitchen radio going on all the time. So this, this could be your country kitchen radio. Granted, neither Tom or I are Paul Harvey or Conway Twitty. Mm-hmm. But, right now, beggars can't be choosers. So we want to thank you all for listening sincerely. Take care of yourselves. Stay healthy. Stay bundled up. Because it's cold right now, which I'm getting tired of this. But we will come back to you here shortly. We're going to do some recruiting talk, and so look forward to that. And continue to read theozone.net, where there's stuff about football and basketball and all that good stuff. So thank you all for listening, and we will talk to you later.
Well, she threw away the tomorrow's alright. We could steal a car and leave